Hello. In the previous video, we saw the ancient location of the columns of Hercules. We calculated the distance on the coast between the Rock of Gibraltar and Atlantis according to Strabo. We have proposed a reconstruction of the second arm of the Guadalquivir, ex-Tartessos, and of the Legistic Lake. Then we located the oblong island of Atlantis, about 20 kilometers away. We will now continue to reconstruct its geography. Let's start with the Atlantic coasts. We have a document from Professor Diaz Montezano dated 2000. He mentions the discovery of granite cobblestones by divers Filomeno Naval and Antonio Lucas. The granite pavers were discovered by -9 meters deep with more or less 2 m of precision. The depth corresponds to a date of marine progression, the period between -7,000 and -11,000 before Jesus Christ. Granite is geologically absent from the diving area, and the cobblestones are too straight to be the result of erosion. Could it be part of the surrounding wall that bordered the C-50 stadiums from the city, equivalent to 9,250 meters? We selected the highest depth, -7 meters. This allows us to determine the coast that bordered this surrounding wall. We then marked this depth all along the coast. Plato indicates, when we had crossed the 3 outer ports, we found a circular wall starting at the sea, and everywhere distant 50 stadiums from the largest enclosure and its port. If the perimeter wall was there, then the coast should be right after it. Now let's go to the reconstruction of the Gulf of Kitties. Here is a document from the University of Seville produced by Ortega, Schultz and Roos. This drawing shows the reconstruction of the coast of the Gulf of Kitties in -4500 BC. It is necessary to complete the Gulf of Kitties from the mouth of the San Pedro and the Guadalete. The Guadalete no longer flows into one of the arms of the Guadalquivir today, as we showed in the last video. Now let's look at the Guadalquivir basin. Festus Avienus writes, "This river does not run a simple stream of water, it does not dig a single bed. But on the side of the Don it rushes across the fields by 3 channels, and by 4 others it bathes the cities of the south." Avienus tells us that the Guadalquivir had a total of 7 arms in antiquity. There are 5 today. If we add the previously reconstituted arm, that makes 6. One is missing. By taking again the main current channels, we can find the missing arm of the river. We see Libreach's arm reconstructed in the previous video. This arm would throw itself into the Gulf of Kitties. We can now see another arm of the Guadalquivir flowing further east. This last arm and the Guadalete threw itself into the south arm of the Guadalquivir. This gave the double mouth of the ancient Tartessos River to the north and south of the island. We can now see the 7 ancient arms of the river according to Avienus. We still have to reconstruct the coastline between Libregia and San Lucar by taking the coast with 5 meters of elevation. This gives an idea of the shape of the islands of Trebugena and Astaregia that could be found on this coast. All this information gives us the following ancient coasts and rivers. This confirms Plato's writings. From this island one could easily pass to the other islands, and from those to the whole continent which borders the inland sea all around. The inland sea corresponds to Legistic Lake, of course. We can now see the island of Atlantis surrounded by the arms of the Tartessos. We can now register the main summits on the island. These, in the center of the island, are around 60 meters, without exceeding 80 meters. Towards the east of the island, we reach the maximum 120 meters. We then reproduce the contour lines every 5 meters, or 10 meters depending on the available precision. Plato specifies in the Cretius towards the center of this plain, at a distance of about 50 stadiums, or 9,250 meters, you could see a mountain that was everywhere of mediocre altitude. We did not put contour lines less than 30 meters around the edge of the island. It didn't do much, because these parts all go down to the sea. We put the curves up to 15 meters in blue to represent the bed of the Rio Salado. In the middle of this bed, it flows south and flows into the sea. It is one of the main canals of the island. From an altitude of 40 meters, we have indicated the areas of the hills in brown. Between the two is the plain areas between 15 and 39 meters above sea level in green. The center of the island is at the center of the blue circle with a radius of 9,250 meters, or around 20 kilometers in diameter. It is the highest point of the Rio Salado, at 14 meters above sea level. The blue circle touches the edge of the sea, where the perimeter wall was located around the submerged island at -7 meters deep. We'll come back to it to reconstruct the ancient mouth of the Rio Salado. It should be noted that a plain 20 to 40 meters above sea level is fairly flat. Likewise, mounts which dominated by a maximum of 30 meters make hills of very mediocre height. To demonstrate this, I offer you photos of the Rio Salado. Note in the background of the photo a hill at an altitude of almost 40 meters. The surrounding hills are at most double. In this other photo you can see the Rio Salado, lowered down on the plain, with a hill at the bottom that you can barely guess. Now we have a complete vision of the island and its relief. We can offer one of the origins of the stones of the city indicated in the texts. Plato specifies. They drew their stones from the periphery of the central island, and from beneath the enclosures. The quarries on the hill of San Cristobal have existed since ancient times. They represent more than 1,300 meters of galleries over a maximum width of 100 meters. That's it for the geographic configuration of the island of Atlantis. In the next videos we will compare it to the antique maps that represent it. Then we will study the canals of the island. I hope this video has you more. Thank you for your attention.